Last episode we saved our to-do list to local storage. I struggled a lot more with it than I should have, so hopefully this one will be a bit quicker and cleaner. The one thing that doesn't happen yet is the state of the to-dos are not being saved. So let's fix that. The first thing I want to do is I want a reference to my app element. And I am going to add an ID here. Call it app. There we go. So now we have an idea, and now we can say that const app elements is documents dot query selector et app. And I'm going to add a function on checkmark change. And what we will do is, well, we'll fill that in later, but we are going to say app element dot add event listener. I don't know if change will work actually. So no, it won't. So we'll do it with a click event. Okay. So the reason I am not adding the events to our checkmark is because our to-do items are being removed and added all the time. And then I have to create event listeners every time a new to-do item is made, and I have to keep track of those, and that's a whole thing. You can also we'll just use the click element. And what we can do is if our target of our event, so an event has a target, which is the element that's being clicked. If that, I think tag name is a name. If it does not equal our et checkmark, then we are not interested. Now I'm not exactly sure, so if this is right, so let's add a debugger and see what happens. So yes, we have an event. The target is our app. The tag name is div, okay. Now we actually clicked the check mark, and what we can see now that we clicked the check mark that our target is actually our check mark, but the tag name seems to be all uppercase. So we can just replace this and say that check mark equals event target, just to make it a little bit more clear. And I'll just log the check mark for now, just so we can check if this works. Actually, I'll remove the debugger statement first. Oh, I double negated this. There we go. So now we have our check mark, which is great. And we can see there's an attribute checked. So that's the next thing we can do. We can say let state is checkmark dot get or has attribute checked. And we will log our state now. So there we go. Now we can actually see if our check mark is being checked or not. Great. The next thing we need is the ID of our item. And what we see here, if you look at the elements, is that the ID is located in its parent using et todo ID. So the next thing is checkmark dot parent or parent node, I'm not sure, we'll see, dot get attribute node ID. And we'll parse this to a number. Actually, no, I don't think we do that, so let's not do that. Or do we? We already used this code somewhere, so let's see how we did it before. Yeah, actually, we don't have to parse it. So where was I? Yes, we don't parse it because we will use this instead of this. This means that 1 is the same as 1, and this means that 1 is not the same as 1. So if you use 2 equal signs, it actually parses and checks that. If you do 3 equal signs, it doesn't do that, but in this case we can use this. So we have our ID, and now we can test our update methods. Data service dot update, and well, first we get our item dot get, and then we say item dot state or status, I'm not sure. Status is state. Well, let's just rename this to status as well to be consistent, and then we can just update our item. And then what we will do is we will log our item to see if this is actually working. So parent is wrong, so I'm assuming the name will be parent node. And now we have a problem here. So let's debug this real quick. Let's check the code in our update. We'll make this equals equals. This is what I've just explained, and maybe that will fix it. Our ID is null. And I don't know why I call it node ID, because I'm fairly sure it's to-do ID and not node ID. So that's just a little typo from my end. To-do ID. There we go. We have our ID. We have our item. We update it. And it's not yet working, but that's fine. We got somewhere at least. So we made the same mistake that we did make using our delete function. So here I had the same mistake. So status is true, that's great, but what doesn't happen is it doesn't seem to set the state. So what else could it be? First things first, we will check our application. We can see that the state is actually being set to true. So we got this far. Now the next part is when it's true, our rendering. I think our rendering function does not set the attribute checked, so it doesn't reflect the state. So here we have this, we create this item to do our UI item, or we get it depending on if it's already existing. But now we have to say that our UI item dot set attribute checked. Actually, if our to-do dot status equals true, we will set our checked attribute. If not, we will remove our attribute. There we go. So let's see if that works. It does not. Of course it doesn't, because I think we set our attribute. Yeah, we set it on our list item, not on our check mark. So we can say that check mark is UI item dot query selector the check mark. There's different ways to do this. This is one way. Another way would be to say that check mark is UI item dot having children dot find, and now we can use the tag name like we did before. I'll use my check mark because I would assume that this is slightly more performant because we don't have to check the DOM. we can use this now. But we'll add the debugger statements to see whether this worked or not. A little typo, not a problem. Oh, we have to make an array out of this. I'm really having problems typing today. So apparently this is not working because once more I made a typo. That was supposed to be the check mark like that, and now we can see both ways work. But actually, because I had to cast it to an array, I'm not sure that's necessary. I'm sure there's better ways to do this. But because it's not very clean, so let's see. If there is another way to do this, can do it like that. I'm not sure, I'll just use this one. We'll do it using the DOM anyway. It's really not that important. Okay, so let's test this out. So you can actually see that it is actually being checked, but the animation is not being triggered. So let's fix that. Let's see what triggers the animation. So here we see that we use this click animation to check this. I think I will end the episode here and I will fix this one in the next one.